In high school, I attended a club fair, for the usual reasons. As we all know, finding a hobby, something to do, something to belong to. It was fall and turning winter fast. Brown leaves clinging to trees, and there I was in the center of this large concrete courtyard, a ring of booths and too many people to count surrounding me. I was anxious. But then, it was almost as if the crowd parted, and a person running a booth made eye contact with me and waved me over. Being a passive person who usually did what he was told, I went, and she asked me if I wanted to join the improv club. So I said yes. It was something that I had a passing interest in, so I went. And it was a lot of fun. So I went again and continued going. I even took some drama classes in high school. And now, even in college, I'm still doing it. I've been in plays here on campus. I'm minoring in theater. It's become something I want to include in my life. It's something I belong to. All because someone waved me over. I was invited. It was almost as if the universe reached out to me. And now, I'm a part of something. So, maybe, next time you see someone who might want to belong, reach out. Just might change their life. Changed mine.
Where to begin? I guess let's just say my life revolved around sports growing up. I played just about everything under the sun. I played football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, soccer, and even a little bit of ultimate frisbee every once in a while. But when it came down to what I found myself best at, it was always football. So I made the decision to stick to it pretty early on. Now the problem with football is that it comes with a lot of contact. And with a lot of contact comes plenty of opportunities for potential injuries. And in my case, the injuries that seemed most prominent were concussions. Now, one concussion doesn't seem all that bad, and quite honestly, it really isn't. But when you pile a few on top of one another over a short period of time, the repercussions tend to be slightly more severe. Me personally, I've been diagnosed with 4, and that's not to mention any of the ones I never said anything about. So when I made the decision to go play in college, my parents gave me a fairly short leash. Which brings me to my most recent one. I woke up in a pitch black room, nobody around me, no windows, no television, nothing. I didn't know where I was, or who I was with, or even what day it was. All I wanted to do was call my mom. But the silhouette of a man standing next to me whispered that I wasn't allowed to. And I remember never in my life had I been so scared, so alone, so vulnerable. The only information I had was that I was severely concussed and that I was in the hospital. And for 48 hours I sat in a dark as night room with a dimmed television the size of a dinner plate playing in the corner. The man I was told was my doctor came up to me and told me that I would be getting released in a few hours. So he handed me a pair of the largest sunglasses I have ever seen and told me that my coach would be here to get me soon. And it was at this point when I started piecing things together, figuring out exactly where I was and what had happened to me. It was also at this point where I hit a bit of a fork in the road. My whole life goal was always to go play college football, and I had reached that goal. I was perfectly happy with where I was and how I was doing, but my health said otherwise. For the betterment of myself and my future, my parents and I made the decision that playing football was no longer something that was in my best interests. And I was told anyways that if I had got another concussion, then I was going to have to be medically disqualified. So when I made the decision to stop playing, it wasn't necessarily something I hadn't thought about. Now, the situation really isn't all that bad. It turns out that my best friend in the entire world, the guy that I met in a McDonald's playpen when we were 2, and the guy that I still live with to this day, he also went to go play college football. And he also, at the same time as I was just contemplating whether or not to stop due to injury. And after speaking with one another over everything that had happened to us and where we were at in life, we both made the decision that we would transfer back in state and to go to school here in Wilmington. And I promise you this, I wouldn't change a thing. I tell people this story because you never know what the future holds. I would have never moved to Wilmington if it wasn't for that concussion, and quite honestly, I don't think I'd be the same person I am today without it. Thank you.
I grew up in a religiously Protestant, politically conservative household. For the first 18 or so years of my life, I surrounded myself with friends, family, and people who held the same religious, political, and ideological beliefs as me. I took this all for granted and assumed this was just how it was. I guess you could say I was a product of my environment. However, that all changed when I first came down to Wilmington for college. My second semester here, I took a philosophy and religion class titled Introduction to the New Testament, which gave a critical view of the text. At first, I had a strong aversion to what the professor was saying, as this was one of the first times in my life that I was presented with a viewpoint that differed from that of my own. As time went on, however, I also began to think critically of the worldview that had been ingrained in me since childhood. Through research of factual evidence, I began to form my own opinions of the material and realized that as a young adult, I would have to make my personal beliefs personal to myself, not to my family, and not to my friends. I saw myself grow and mature as a person, and I realized that a true sign of maturity and growth comes from allowing one's thoughts and opinions to be subjectively shaped by certain experiences. I still have much love for my friends and family back home, even if our thoughts and opinions do not always line up accordingly. Now I consider myself a humanist, a centrist. I hope to continue this growth and change I've experienced in the past few years throughout college and beyond. By opening ourselves up to new thoughts, experiences, and ways of life, we can truly change the world and make it a better place for all.
The fall of 2019. I was killing it my first semester at university. I was making good grades, great friends, and I even found an awesome fraternity to be a part of, but then 2020 came along. What happened? I looked to a journal entry I wrote last February, and I had said, World War III, Australia burning to a crisp, Kobe tragically dying, and now there's talk of some murder hornets? Man, 2020 is off to a rough start. Here's hoping it gets better from here. How little did I know. I'm sure you all know where this is going. So, coronavirus came along just in time to give us the longest spring break ever. And it just so happens my family and I are moving out of my childhood home of 15 years into a new one on March 1st. Yeah, great timing, right? So here I am moving out of college, back into this unfamiliar environment, and it just seemed like life kind of started to slip. You see, lockdown led to a life filled with vices and addictions, and I realize now in hindsight, I think my friends and I just used these things to cope with the fact that we were watching our youth change right before our eyes. As the epidemic turned into a pandemic, it felt like society started to slip as well. I remember waking up every morning and seeing people rioting, buildings burning, people dying. And then things got personal when my best friend's dad suddenly passed away just like that. You know, I could really start to feel myself lose grip on things. And most people would turn to religion at this point. And, I usually would too, but no, not this time. I'm angry. I'm angry at God. See, when I start asking questions of why, and I get answers of, oh, he works in mysterious ways, or, oh, he has a plan for you, that is just not enough for me anymore. It honestly makes me furious. What kind of mysterious way allows for a man to beg for his life on the ground for 8 minutes and 46 seconds when the only difference between him and I is the color of our skin? What kind of plan allows for a disease to come and ravage the earth, killing millions and ruining the lives of countless of others? What kind of God comes and takes away a good man, a good dad, hurting me, but more importantly, scarring my best friend? Why? See, losing my faith was a byproduct of 2020, but in 2021, I think I have something new to believe in, a new faith, if you will. You. You. Even you, and yeah, especially you. All of us. Each other. See, well, I don't think I would have made it through last year if it wasn't for my friends, and I honestly don't know how anyone could have made it through that alone. And if last year taught me anything, it's that I have a group of friends that are ready to pick me up whenever I'm down, and I have a group of friends that truly love me. And that gives me hope for 2021. Because you see, y'all, we got to get through this. We have to get through this. We are going to get through this because I believe that we are better and that we are stronger than this. And y'all, one day the sun is going to shine upon us again and we are all going to celebrate because we made it. And we're going to make it together. Thank you.